Hey everyone, Gill Gross here, post-match Dominic Thiem versus Stefanos Tsitsipas, 2020 ATP Finals Group Stage, Day 1. If you're not here for spoilers, click off the video in 3, 2, 1. In a rematch of last year's final, the result is reversed. Dominic Thiem takes it over Stefanos Tsitsipas in 3 sets, 7-6, 4-6, 6-3. I think both players should be pretty content with the level that they reached on the court today. Tsitsipas really could have won because he could have easily won this first set. The margins throughout the match were razor thin. There were only 2 breaks of serve throughout. And I'll get into the first set, but Tsitsipas could have won that one very, very easily in that tiebreak if a couple of points, crucial points, went his way. And then the second set, he played an immaculate, a gorgeous set. And then I will say this, the Dominic Thiem that we saw in set number 3 was far different than the Dominic Thiem we saw in the first 2 sets. I thought he did a wonderful job of playing himself into this match, feeling out his opponent. And at the start, it was a very disciplined version of Dominic Thiem. He was very within himself, a little bit like he was holding back. The result was a very consistent player, and he was really forcing Tsitsipas to make a lot happen on his terms. And in the first set, it worked. But in the second set, when the Greek raised his level, the result was obviously Tsitsipas won the set fairly easily because Dominic Thiem never really got into a Tsitsipas service game. In the third set, Thiem really flipped a switch. He felt his opponent on the other side of the net. He knew he needed to do more, inject more energy into his ground strokes, take more risk, especially on return games. And he needed to, even if it came at the cost of errors, he needed to make Tsitsipas feel more uncomfortable, and he needed to impose his will a little bit more than he was in the first 2 sets. And Dominic Thiem did that. Now, it did come at the expense of errors. It always will. Whenever you go for more, whenever you raise the aggression, and sometimes even in Dominic Thiem's case, when you raise the intensity in your ground strokes, you're often going to miss more. And I've become very accustomed to Dominic Thiem when he's playing his normal, ultra-aggressive attacking brand of tennis, which he brings to the court on a regular basis. I've become very accustomed to Thiem having games here or there where he makes a cluster of errors, whether it be on the forehand or the backhand. Sometimes Dominic Thiem just has a service game where he makes, 2, 4 unforced errors and he drops the game. And that's just a byproduct of sometimes the aggression that he plays with. And that game did come. Before I get to the first set and the second set, I just want to fast forward to the third set. And the turning point in this tennis match was when Dominic Thiem had a break in hand. He was up 3-1. He was playing really aggressive tennis at this point. And the game that I'm talking about, that loose game that often comes from Dominic Thiem when he's playing his style of tennis, it came. At 3-1, he made a lot of errors in this game. It was a very long deuce game. And what ended up happening is his serve bailed him out. His spot serving bailed him out. He was inhuman from the deuce side. And Tsitsipas kept winning that add-in point. And he did have a break point at 30-40 here. And let's see, did he have one? No, he didn't have one after deuce. But first deuce point, Thiem hits a service winner. Deuce number 3, Thiem hits an ace out wide. Deuce number 4, Thiem hits an ace out wide in the same spot. Deuce number 5, Thiem goes down the tee this time, hits his spot. Tsitsipas hits a stretch return. Thiem's able to attack it and finish with an overhead. Deuce number 6, Thiem hits an ace out wide. At this point, Steph is literally laughing because Dominic Thiem keeps putting the first serve exactly where he wants to put it. And that's going to be a problem. if you're a returner on a court as fast as this one. Finally, on add-in, after 6 deuces, Tsitsipas mishits a backhand return off of a first serve. It sails long, and Thiem has that hold to go up 4-1. That was Tsitsipas's best chance at getting the break back, and that was a game where Thiem hit, it felt like he hit, 3, 4, maybe 5 unforced errors. A lot of them were off the first ball when Thiem kept trying to go down the line on his backhand, and he kept missing the same shot over and over again on add-in. And it must have been very frustrating for Dominic Thiem, but the serve bailed him out. So that's kind of how I saw the turning point. I saw Dominic Thiem really look to impose his will and up the aggression. It's going to come at the expense of errors. It did, but when it did, the serve bailed him out. Now if you rewind to the first set, because maybe Tsitsipas could have won this in 2 if this first set went a little bit differently. Again, this was a set where Thiem was very steady. It was almost like he was just trying to feel the ball and work his way into the match. And Tsitsipas at times was erratic and made some errors. He did so at 1-all. He did so at 3-all. Both those games got complicated on Tsitsipas's serve. And on both occasions, Tsitsipas did not lose any of his confidence. He was not shaken. He was not rattled. He never got passive. And he played fearless first strike tennis, which he often does when his back is against the wall on serve. And he saved those break points admirably. And he got out of those pickles and he held serve. His return was not good enough throughout this first set to put any pressure on the Dominic Thiem serve. That was the case in the third set as well, for the most part. And this one goes to a tiebreak. Thiem was the better player throughout, but it's Tsitsipas who went up the mini break in the tiebreak. I think for the first time, Dominic Thiem overhit a forehand at 1-all in this first set tiebreak. And Tsitsipas at 5-3 had a chance to win this point and go up 6-3. He was serving at 5-3, and what do I say all the time? When Stefanos Tsitsipas has a low backhand inside the service box, basically when he tracks down either a drop shot or a drop volley, he will punch it deep down the line 90% of the time. And Thiem hit a angle drop volley that was mediocre. Tsitsipas got there in plenty of time. The drop volley was I don't want to say so bad because it wasn't brutal, but Thiem knew it was mediocre, so he actually retreated to the baseline. Tsitsipas punched it deep down the line. Thiem was ready for it. The cross-court pass on the forehand was open for Dominic Thiem, and there goes the mini break just like that. So cat and mouse, I think one of those patterns that I'd like to see Tsitsipas get better at and add some variation with that continental grip backhand. He could have hit over it. He probably had time to hit over it, but even if he didn't, too predictable. Not good enough. And that was the mini break. So now we were back on serve, and at 5-6, set point for Thiem. Tsitsipas serving. Steph hits a really good first serve. He has a sitter on top of the net, and he doesn't put it away. And Thiem is able to block it back on the forehand and ultimately win the point. It should have been a very, very easy put away. Tsitsipas probably could have hit it as a smash instead of a forehand, but even if he hit it as a forehand, he could have hit it harder. He could have placed it better. He could have done anything other than what he did. He doesn't put it away. And with the margins that thin, that was the first set to Dominic Thiem. Although he was kind of the better player throughout. I think he did create a lot more chances on return than Tsitsipas. But still, Stefanos almost stole that first set. The safe kind of steady Dominic Thiem where it felt like he was holding back 20% of what he can do, that continued over to the second set. And in the second set, Tsitsipas really made him pay. Immaculate second set by Tsitsipas. So few errors, such clean tennis, unbelievable transition game. Tsitsipas found so much success attacking the net on Dominic Thiem, playing first strike tennis, playing big with his forehand, spotless off the backhand. It was such a good, solid set. And Tsitsipas won at 6-4. And then in the third set, as I said, it was a really good job by Thiem raising his level. A couple of points on this before I wrap it up. Tsitsipas at times is still not returning well enough to apply serious pressure on his opponent's serve. And I really think that could change his entire game. Because the more I watch Tsitsipas play, even in a match like this, I just think he's so good on serve. He's so hard to break. He continues to be so hard to break. But if he can just return better, it would completely shift the pressure dynamic. In the second set, he returned a little bit better, and I don't have return in play stats. If anyone has those, if anyone knows where to find, let me know, because this tournament doesn't have an official app. The ATP official website doesn't give me percent return in play or average first serve speed, average second serve speed, rally length stats. They don't give me that either. I gotta say, the basic stats in tennis, I'm really digressing here on a tangent. The basic stats in tennis are completely insufficient. They are not the stats that tell the full story. So some of the stats that I just mentioned, I would love to see, but I can't see them because I don't see them. Anyway, if anyone knows where to get those, let me know in the comments. Anyway, he's still not returning well enough to apply serious pressure. The second point, Dominic Thiem. Heavy ground strokes to the Tsitsipas backhand really was paying dividends. The backhand defense by Tsitsipas versus the backhand defense that Dominic Thiem has developed, there's a difference there. There's a pretty big difference. And I think with both players so good hitting big, heavy ground strokes behind their serves, especially on the forehand side, and being able to really pound the backhand corner off of that pattern early and aggressive in the rallies. I think that becomes a really big deal, is who's able to get back to neutral when their backhands are attacked. And I don't think Tsitsipas can really get back to neutral. Not nearly as often as Dominic Thiem is able to get back to neutral. But the funny thing is, when Thiem was 22 years old, I thought he was very similar to where Tsitsipas is with his backhand defense. Tsitsipas, he's still not too strong, open stance, trying to hit over the backhand. That's kind of a low percentage, kind of stabby. He doesn't have great control of the racket head, takes a lot of forearm strength, takes a lot of core strength, and Dominic Thiem is miles better in that. And then even when you get to the backhand slice, Thiem is a lot better than Tsitsipas in that category. So just watching these two on the court, a battle of one-handed backhands, two guys who hit unbelievable, some of the best forehands in tennis, serving really well, great spot serving by both at times, overwhelming offense. Who was able to turn around these points and get back to neutral? I thought, for the most part, it was Dominic Thiem, especially in his backhand corner. But it comes with the caveat. I think when Thiem was Tsitsipas's age, he was the same player. And Thiem has just developed that part of his game. So I think that was interesting to see. Holy moly, what a storm outside. Anyway, that'll do it. Hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to subscribe. I will see you next time.